Good morning, Warriors. We're back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. We'll do our morning retention this morning. I didn't get a chance the last few days to do a recording. A lot of crazy stuff going on, but I had 3 people over, and I forgot yesterday was a holiday. So I hope you guys had a great day. We're back again today. Today is February 22nd, 2022. So it's 2/2/2/2/2. And it was kind of a crazy day, also in history too. So interesting enough. So I want to thank everybody for the donations, contributions, likes, comments, all those type of things. It is greatly appreciated as we move towards our battle and continue to move on. And interesting enough, over the weekend I had a number of discussions about this journey that we're on, and we'll be a little closer that way, and kind of talking about just the whole idea of how far do you go with this? How far do you go with retention? And a lot of the younger people I talk with, they talked about maybe 4 or 5 days, and then research shows that that the benefits kind of wane off, and so they're figuring on doing it once a week and things like that. And so I think it's an interesting type of topic to talk about. Along with this, I'm going to kind of talk about the wiles of the devil and Satan, and how you can be deceived, because it kind of fits together in some ways as well. And so I think we have to kind of talk about this whole issue as one. We're getting a lot of rain here in the Midwest today, so if that's the noise you're hearing, I apologize. Not too much I can do about that, but let's kind of delve into this a little bit and talk about this. So we talk about the whole idea of this journey. We have to realize that what we're doing is changing our lifestyle. And I know for 40 some years that was hard for me. For 45 years it was hard for me, because I went back and forth saying, okay, do it a little bit here and do it a little bit here, go a week or so, and then, well, you got to keep your energy going, testosterone high, and you don't want to lose all that stuff, and you're afraid of losing it, and so you go ahead and kind of do it again, and then another few weeks maybe you try it again, and all of a sudden you're back in your habit again and again and again. And that was happening 45 years, and I just never got to the point where I was really totally happy and satisfied, and I felt good, and I felt like I was on the right track. Now, there's times it still happens. Like over the weekend, I ate too many carbohydrates, and that's what I should not have done. And so I felt it, and it was something that is bothered me. And so I'm doing some fasting, long-term fasting for the last over the next couple days, and hopefully kind of get back to what I had lost before. So you still don't feel always 100%. And depending on rain and things like that, but the benefits, in my mind, they don't leave you, or they don't just kind of go side. Basically what they're doing is kind of focusing on looking to benefit over a period of time. And those type of things really kind of get to the point where you have to kind of say, all right, I understand that I may kind of at some point perceive this to kind of level off, but it doesn't mean the benefits have gone. And I think sometimes people do that because I think down deep they still want to go ahead and lose energy, because it feels pleasurable to them, right? I mean, it's always pleasurable. So, and when you're procreating, there's nothing wrong with that. And God doesn't want you to not, in my opinion at least, God doesn't want you not to enjoy life. But I think what you have to do is you have to look at the obsession people have when they get involved in this type of thing. And when you look at this type of thing, people, they get caught up in temptation. And the devil can go ahead and really kind of deceive you in many ways. Because as you look at these type of things, you realize that you're at the point where you're looking at things and realizing that people have things that they can't get away from. They can't stop temptation, and they basically know that this is something that they can't do anything about. And so it's better to avoid it and not to deal with it and try to get around it than to go ahead and try to continue to kind of deal with it at any kind of level. And that's a thing you have to kind of look at. You have to kind of watch to see, is this something that you can really kind of get deceived about? And it may come in different ways, different types of things that happen to you. But the deception is there. Satan is always there. It's always something that's going to be around you, and you have to be very careful with it. You can't just kind of play around with it. This is the kind of thing that is and I've had that happen so many times. And you have to be careful of it to shut it down, because those type of things can come back and tempt you. And so when we talk about this kind of journey, it's really important to kind of know yourself and to realize that as you're looking at these type of things, you have to kind of realize that these are not powers and things to play with. I realize that people have some pleasure and they get excitement on this kind of stuff, and I know I've been through all that. I realize that, but you also have to kind of think to yourself, what is the opposite of that, right? What is the opposite of all that type of stuff? What is really the consequence of that? And that's something you have to kind of be careful of and really watch. You have to be very careful to the point where you're not really falling into the deception of the devil and of Satan, and kind of going ahead and looking at all that sort of thing that kind of makes you fall into the trap. I mean, really, in my estimation, and now I'm 60 some years old, and I've kind of gone through having kids, and I'm at the point where I'm trying to find the truth. And to my mind, the truth is that God did not really intend males and females to go around and just spend it all day long having pleasure with each other. There's nothing wrong with having with your wife and husband. And there's nothing wrong with having that to procreate, things like that. But when you're at the point where you're doing this 4 or 5 times a day to a picture, or you're doing this to even in one night affairs, you're basically kind of using all your energy up, and that's not really what you want to do. Now we had talked about before that we had a good viewer who wrote some comments about edging and things like that. And, I'm not certainly an expert, as I talked about the other day, about all this. I certainly know how my experiences are right now. And my experiences basically are the fact that this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Going monk mode and basically kind of trying to transmute any kind of energy that I have, that I feel is actually is helping me in many, many, many different ways. And I think that's kind of the whole key that I look at. Now, certainly each situation is different, and how we behave and how we act makes a big difference in the benefits that we get. But when we really look at the situation, we have to be careful. The temptation is always there, and the devil is always going to be there in spirit, in one form or another, to try to go ahead and kind of coax you into moving away from the Lord. And don't doubt that. I mean, in my mind, everything we're doing is either bringing us to the Lord or moving us away to the Lord. And they talk about idols. Idols could be anything. Idols could be a hobby that you have. Idols could be any sort of thing you're doing. And it certainly could be something like gambling or addictions or pornography or anything like that. And so that's just your idol, and it's going to move you away from thinking about the Lord. And I think this is the whole key to it. You cannot get caught up with those type of idols in anything you do. And I think this is why it's important to focus on, at every moment you can, focus on the Lord, focus on your Creator, and focus on somebody who is being able to kind of give you some of that spiritual hope and trust and, you know, salvation when it comes to who you are. Because a lot of these other things don't matter. I mean, you know that just by the act, you know, of people doing things. You know, you realize it's a short-term type of thing. Heck, money is a short-term type of thing. All these type of things are short-term because they're not really things that are spiritual. They're more things that are just physical, materialistic types of things that people have. And so when you look at that, you have to be careful that you don't get caught up with that in some sort of temptation or something that people feel that is going to move you away from your Creator, your God, and Jesus. You know, you're moving away from that. You can't move away from that. And I think that's the whole key to a lot of stuff we're talking about. So on this February 22nd, 2022, I want you to kind of keep that in mind as you go through the day, that you have to kind of be on guard. Be on guard to realize this is a long journey, and that when you look at, you know, these type of things and breaking your streak or going away from monk mode and things like that, you have to kind of realize that the consequence of that is going to come back and affect you in one way or the other. Now, you could say, you know, it's okay to go ahead and do it. You know, you don't necessarily want to kill your sexual energy. But on the other hand, you know, by doing those type of things you're doing, you will have an abundance of that energy. And in my opinion, the energy will come to service when you're not even expecting it. And you're going to feel it. Now, you have to transmute it at that point, but you're going to feel that type of energy because you have so much of it inside of you. You're keeping. Even at my age, you know, I notice it all the time. And I think you have to kind of make sure you balance it out by using discipline in other areas of your life, along with that area, of course, but using it in nutrition and other things. I didn't do that over the weekend myself, so I have to go back and kind of redo that and kind of recapture my streak on that, you know, with caffeine and thing. And there's nothing wrong, once again, taking a cheat day and things like that when it comes to food. But when you do this, when it comes to, and that's probably a good analogy here, when you go ahead and do that when it comes to retention and things like that, there is an effect you're going to have. Same thing with a cheat day. I mean, yes, cheat day is going to kind of help you with your system, but on the other hand, you're also putting things into your system that you don't normally want to have, and your body will react to that. And the same thing happens when you have long streaks, and all of a sudden now you go back to doing what you're doing before. And the biggest issue is that we are creatures of habit. And as creatures of habits, it's very easy to go back to that habit you had. And the habit you had was not one that was very productive. And in fact, you know, led you to depression, anxiety, things like that. At least that's what's happened to me. And when these are those kind of things, those are the kind of things you want to avoid, and you don't want to really go ahead and kind of experience those type of things over and over and over again. And so this is why we kind of talk about it. So it was really into this discussion over the weekend I had with several people, and certainly I can understand the point of view they're having about let's just do 6 days, 7 days. And I think certainly any kind of refrain is a good one. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad to do 6-7 days. And certainly if you're procreating and having children, things like that, you're going to go ahead and have sex and things like that. But the thing about it is that what you really want to do is kind of really make sure that you are using your energy as wisely as possible, and not just using it for pleasure. And that's a whole lifestyle change. And I think that's the kind of key that we're talking about here. You're talking about being sucked out of energy, and the wiles of the devil will get you involved with people and objects and pictures and things like that allow you to lose all that God-given energy you're given, you're creating. And when you do that, all of a sudden you become less of a man or a woman to me, and now you become someone who is more like a zombie running around, who doesn't really, can't really function, gets upset, has all these other kinds of things happening to them, that really is something that is causing them to become, depressed, anxious, really nervous, all kinds of things like that, and less powerful as a person. And I think all those things make a huge difference in your lifestyle, and it did for me. And so this is why, as I'm middle of 620 some days, and monk mode's 150, something like that. It's close to 150, maybe 149 or something like that. It really gets to the point of saying, what is really the benefit of all this? And I would say the benefit is unbelievable to me. It's always been unbelievable to me, and I still feel the benefits of this now. So those people are saying it's done 6-7 days. I just don't believe that, because I've seen the benefits over and over again in many different ways. And sometimes they surprise you, like attraction. Other women attracted to me, and it's just very noticeable the way they act and behave. And not that it's really that important to me, but it's something that I've noticed as one of the benefits. Focus level, it's much easier to go back and focus even after 600 and some days. You keep doing it, it's just going to continue to be there. It's not going to go anywhere. Now, you may not notice as strongly because you're within 600 and some days, but the bottom line really is that it's still happening to you. The benefits are still there, nutrition is still there, and I haven't been sick, for instance, in many, many years, almost 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years. And a lot of that's going to the Fountain of Youth type exercises I do, and it also goes back to this sixth rite of the Fountain of Youth. And I promised to do a video on that. I haven't had a chance to, but I will. And you're focusing on those 6 rites are things that are going to keep you young, and part of it's keeping you young is basically focusing on keeping your energy and not losing it. And so I think this is a very important key to what we look at. So, all right, my friends, have a great day today. Once again, February 22nd, 2022, and we'll talk again very soon. And God bless you, and warriors, battle on today, battle on.